Okay. Woohoo!
Nice little,
Man, that was some solid shit.
nice little ballad to wake our asses up.
That was pretty cool, man. Very cool. How long ago was that?
It was a while ago, 8 or 9 years ago. And then I won the DVD of the year, which was really nice for Modern Drummer for that. That
Oh,
Don Lombardi, the founder of DW Drums, produced. So, we got into some, I don't do a lot of DVDs or those educational things, but that one, we put all our marbles into it. So it was great. And unfortunately, that band is not assembled right now. I've got a different band, so that's all good.
yeah, that can be good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is my old friend, and
Oh,
actually, we haven't really associated for years, but we went to college together,
yes,
and
we
we had a
did.
band.
Yes, we did.
John Robinson, or better known as J.R. Robinson, I think, right?
Yeah, they changed that. I don't know. It's my, you know me as John Robinson. So
That's cool, man. So nice to see your face.
it's great to see your face too. And I'm trying to remember. It was somewhere on Ventura Boulevard. I think the last time I saw you.
Yeah, I know. It was a while back. It was probably, I don't know, 12 years ago, or I don't
Yeah,
know, something like that, right?
it was one of those clubs, and they've taken them all away from us. So
Yeah, man. Damn it all. Damn it
oh,
all.
those sons of bitches.
um, I I'm I'm thinking, yeah, I start conversations everywhere,
You can go
uh,
anywhere you want.
on timelines, but I actually don't know, and I don't remember. I don't know, and I don't remember if it was in the. I think it was in your bio. But where are you from?
I'm from Creston, Iowa, which is southwest Iowa between Kansas City, Des Moines, and Omaha. Kind of speck right there.
Okay.
It's like
Yeah.
old railroad town.
Oh, okay. I've talked to a bunch of people who are from that area of the country. And it's interesting that you came out of that area with this like desire and continuity to, really do something significant and what you want to do too,
Yeah.
What was your childhood like? Did you have, I feel like you had a brother or something,
It
but
was a sister.
a sister. Okay.
God bless her. She unfortunately left us in '07. Her name was Judy, and she was just an exceptional with tenure teacher,
Oh,
and also did special ed. And she was the youngest person down in San Antonio where she was teaching at the end to get tenure. And most of the time,
wow.
as we well know, it's hard to get. And
Yeah, yeah.
um, but I had just great mother and father while they were still together. You know, and by the way, my father was born in Marshalltown, Iowa, and went to Duke University, and then the University of Iowa. And my mother was from Durham, North Carolina. So my house was basically the Mason Dixon line, and there was, I guess you could perceive that as a good thing, except for the fighting. So that's some inside shit. But my dad started me on piano when I was 5, and he
Mm,
was a tyrant. And I think maybe I was too young to, how hard it is. Shit, 5 years old is a little young when you're starting to go through those method books, and
yeah,
unless you're some friggin' genius. And
yeah.
and then I, thank God, gravitated to drums between 7 and 8, because my mother would sit me down and just sit down and, Johnny, this is the Tommy Dorsey band, and she'd just spin me these records and tell me about drummers and talk to me about something called swing. This is swing, and I go, okay, cool. Is that like when you and Daddy dance? I go, well, it's something like that, but it's a whole nother thing. And so I was immediately gravitated towards that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I can't help think yesterday it was my husband's birthday. So
Yes.
his two daughters and the four grandchildren came over. They're pretty young, like basically between 4 and 9, you know.
Gotcha. I've got similars. Yes.
Yeah. So it was, you know how it is.
Yeah.
So, but what was I going to say? But oh yeah. So I've been thinking, how do I get jazz into their lives or classical? Because their parents
Right.
aren't listening to that at all. So they're not going to listen to it. So I made this little game up where everybody got a song to play, So, and I was kind of the controller. And when it came to me, and I thought, yeah, I'll play all blues. Maybe they'll like the
Right.
trumpet sound, After about 30 seconds, one of them said, okay, is it time to move on?
Oh my God.
I was like, well, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, of course I didn't move on, but
Oh, good for you.
trying to move around, and I don't know. I don't know how else to, to teach them about it. I mean, they have to be somewhat interested to listen or something.
Well, I mean, not to interview you, but in the same substance, our generation somehow gravitated towards just to me, the hippest musical stuff ever.
Yeah.
And hopefully it doesn't get lost. I mean, I know a lot, I'm very much educational, pro education, and trying not to let these junior high and high school kids forget about big band and
Yeah.
swing and jazz. So,
Yeah.
I think we were very lucky, I think, in our generation.
Well, we had everything. When we
Yeah.
were in college, that was the richest friggin' time. And we were in Boston.
Yeah.
I mean,
We were-
which had a real mix up, right? I
oh
mean,
my God. Yeah.
there was everything. I mean, yeah. I had a band, I guess, after you with Mike Hatfield. Do you remember
Oh,
him?
sure. Mike, it was a guitar player.
He was the vibes player.
Oh shit. Oh yeah, Mike. Shit. He was
Yeah.
he was one of my drum teachers. Oops, I'm sorry.
Oh, really?
I think I was Kent. Wasn't no. I'm
He was
thinking of
young.
Kent.
He was our age, or and his brother Brad Hatfield, great piano player.
Okay, I remember Mike Hatfield. Okay.
Yeah, and then anyway, I had this band, and we did everything. We did from Chick Corea to Chaka Khan, with vibes. He always said, "Vibes. This shouldn't be in this band, vibes," but it was cool.
And plus, you didn't have to haul him around. So,
Well, yeah, yeah, just
oh my God.
oh, Wendell Kelly. Do you know Wendell Kelly?
I know Wendell. Sure.
He's here.
Hey.
And my friend Roland. I mean, there's a bunch of people, but people are slow to comment. So, okay, so you were in Ohio. So then what?
Well, no, Ohio was where I got discovered
By
Rufus and Chaka Khan.
really? Wait a minute. This is
I left Iowa in '73.
oh, Iowa. Sorry.
Iowa's that state right in the middle where the dirt's so black you can eat it. That's always my joke.
I have been to Des Moines, so
All right. Yeah, it's a very exciting town.
very exciting. But there is jazz. I talked to somebody the other day who said there's a great jazz club there.
It's unbelievable. And I actually just headlined it's called the J.R. Robinson Experience, a club in Omaha called the Jewel, which was just smoking. And everybody's way into jazz and funk and that, and great vocals and that sort of thing.
Wow, cool.
So there is a big thing there, but Iowa, not Ohio.
Okay, so Iowa, then you came to Berklee.
I came to Berklee, and then that's when where we met, and we met a bevy of just unbelievably talented musicians.
Yeah, there were a lot of great people there at that time.
I think it was maybe the best time.
Yeah. Did you play out a lot when you were in Boston?
My first couple of months, I was really, really crying because I couldn't get a gig, and I didn't. Maybe it's because I really didn't know anybody, and I started. That first semester is like getting to know. And like, oh shit! What do you mean uptown? What does that mean? Or where's downtown? I mean, I don't know. And Charlie's Pizza was my best friend. Little did I know there was other shit going on in Charlie's Pizza. All right, we won't go there. But then
Yeah.
I finally met a guitar player who was a lot older in one of my classes named Chuck Giambuso, and
Oh,
really good player. And he was an MD for Bobby Rydell and Charo. So I go, well, this is kind of
ah.
interesting. And so I started playing with these guys, and they were all Sicilians. It was really quite interesting. And an Italian club, and that started leading to more gigs and more gigs and more gigs, and then I started actually recording
Yeah.
late, So it was just a slow group, but then by my second semester, I was really working a lot, and then starting to do different kinds of things, and I didn't ever want to leave school. I just wanted to keep going straight through, so I could get the hell out. Like no going home for the summer.
Right. Wow. Yeah. So I was there 72 to 75,
Yep. And
mid
I was
75 or something. Was that when you were there too?
I was straight 73 through 75.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember
Yeah.
they used to laugh at us if I mean, and being a drummer, you still have to play melodic instruments, but the drummers that still remained, I figured they were all losers because they didn't have a gig, and most of the cats left or dropped out of school and went on the road.
That's funny.
True.
Yeah, those were some good days. And I mean, uh, it's funny because you can actually impress people by telling them the beginning of the iPro, the iBook, the Pro,
Yes.
was happened when we were in school with Mitch Kudley and
Oh my.
I forget the other guy's name. He lives here. Anyway, Mitch is now, I really shouldn't say his name, but he
Well,
makes he makes music libraries now. And the other guy is an orchestrator. Gosh, I forget his name right now. But anyway, I remembered they worked their ass off for like 6 months on that book. And then the day after it came out, somebody took it and Xeroxed it and started selling it for $5
right,
less.
right. Who knew that would be? I mean, remember when we were there? It was analog world, man. It was
Yeah,
analog world. Remember that room with all the Fender Rhodes in it, and
yeah.
and Mike Hassel was the Rhodes teacher, vocal teacher, and it was, there were no computers. It was
No,
real people, walking into a room and plugging in or not.
yeah, and the guy, I can't remember his name. He was like the head guy who, like, the dotted quarter note was named after.
John Laporta.
John Laporta.
He was like, hey, do that. It was like, do that. And ironically, backing up the train, I went to a lot of jazz camps when I was young. And I went to one at Illinois State University. Actually, I went to two at Illinois State. And John Laporta was my teacher there
Really?
also.
Oh,
So I became his drummer when I got to Berklee, which was really kind of cool.
that's very cool. He was cool.
He was in the Four Brothers in the Herman Band in the 40s.
Oh, okay.
So he had already had a little taste of that fame in those days.
Yeah, there's a drummer named Jack Mouse in Chicago
I know
who,
Jack.
yeah, he was closely associated with him too, John Laporta. Can't quite remember the whole story, but yeah, I mean, we had some. I mean, the school wasn't that large. There wasn't even
Right.
a vocal department.
No, there was not until it got
I
formed.
left.
Well, weren't you in that Mike Hassel thing or not?
Well, I remember Mike Hassel's name, and it could have been like just an extra class, but there was no vocal department.
They had just formed it, and I was an all-state singer in Iowa,
Oh,
even though I was a basketball player. So
oh,
I was always playing basketball, but I decided to go, let's get another credit, so I'll join the chorus. But little did I know we were singing some really hard shit. Oh my God, it was hard to sing that.
yeah, yeah, it's really funny. Well, yeah, when I left mid 75, so that was when the vocal department got started. So I
Okay.
went for flute.
Oh, right. Jeez.
Anyway, but those were good days in Boston. The music, there's just that was a good time of music. It was a mix of Motown and right, and then the
Right.
modern jazz coming in and ECM, and yeah, it was a good time.
Right, ECM as drummers go, shit, I got to go find a fucking flat ride cymbal now. Great. We're all going,
Really?
oh no, which way we're going, which way we're going to Tony Williams way, or we're going to go ECM way, or we're going to go Deep Purple. Which way are we going?
That's funny. Who are some ECM drummers?
Jack DeJohnette
Okay.
was an early ECM drummer, and there was a bunch of European guys, but
Yeah.
I think like Bob Moses was,
Yeah.
I don't know, but so it always sounded different. And us, you're taking your throat to the gig.
Yeah.
Where I was like, we're coveting our ride cymbal, oh, dig this. This is going to change the night, Really, meanwhile, everybody's fucked up in a bar and we don't really understand.
Right. Oh, our priorities change, don't they?
Oh my God.
You know, I interviewed Bob Moses.
Did you? How's he doing?
He's doing well. He got kind of tired of Boston finally.
Yeah.
And like a month ago or so, he moved to Memphis.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah. And but he's really incredible. And he has this mentor, a spiritual, Bob Moses. He has a spiritual and musical mentor named Tizigi Munoz. Have you ever heard of him?
Mm-mm.
I never had either. And he's a guitarist and a percussionist from, I want to say Puerto Rico, but he's like a super heavyweight and very prolific. And he's played with a lot of big jazz people, like very burning kind of straight ahead people. But he can go from like a whisper to like crazy shit,
Right.
and, has this very definite point of view,
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So Bob's recorded with him a lot, and he's kind of that Tizigi is his mentor.
And also ordering from Rendezvous wings. So he's getting an advantage there too, because Boston doesn't have good wings.
But they do have good Philly steaks, which I
my
miss tremendously. I remember coming out here and, a Philly steak, it's like, what? What is this? This is a Philly steak? No way,
We have to invent our own food here in California.
Yes, we do.
Oh my God.
So, okay, so I remember,
Uh-oh.
let me just see, Anthony Cucina. He's a big fan.
Okay.
And we'll talk about this, but maybe not right this second, but would you please talk about where your focus on music is these days compared to yesteryears? We'll get to that, but actually, first, I just want to know, for my own sake, actually, because I remember when you got into Rufus, just because I guess we must have worked together towards the end of when I was there.
I think so, yes.
But so how did that happen? I'm just curious because, of course, Chaka Khan was, Chaka Khan and Aretha, those were the queens during the time for vocalists,
Right. They set the bar high for female vocalists, and almost too high. And then later Whitney, I think, took that bar over. But I was, I learned the band. And I remember going by some Berklee post, and somebody posted Rufus band looking for somebody or something. And I don't know if I even took that number.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing it, and I go, well, that's kind of cool, because this band's kind of underground. It's like an underground white black funk band, rock band, and and of course, when we all saw her on Midnight Special with that loincloth, I'm like, holy shit. and she can sing. So cut to 78, and I'm touring with a band in Boston called Shelter. It's a really good show band. I had hired a girl from Newton, where you're from, named Jana Tyler, this beautiful black girl, and she could like cover all the bases. And so we started touring, and then this agent sent us out to Ohio. Now Ohio becomes relevant. And we're touring Ohio, and I'm looking, and we're actually in the same cities as Rufus and Chaka Khan or are. And I'm going, well, it's interesting. And then finally, I'm thinking we're in this big disco dance club called the Rare Cherry in northeast Cleveland. and it's huge. And we're playing, and they had this huge luminescent light board with like welcome so and so, and we're playing. It's the second set, and all of a sudden I look up and it says welcome Rufus and Chaka Khan, and I'm going, oh shit. And so when we're kids and famous people come in, I used to have a tendency to overplay. You know, like, oh, look at me, look at me, look at me. And in reality, I learned from playing with Lynn Stewart. Don't, you know, when Chick walks in, just yourself, you know,
Yeah.
and blah blah blah. So I was myself. Pretty soon, I see everybody up in the front by the band, or by in front of our band watching. And at the end of the set, one guy comes up, and it was a Hawk or Bobby. He comes up and goes, "Can we sit in with your drummer?" And I just looked at him and go, yeah. So in other words, all you fucking guys go and bring in everybody else. And that's what happened. And everybody straggled up, and then she finally got up, and it was the next era of Rufus was that night.
Wow.
And then I went to the theater in the Round in Cleveland and sat in with them the next day and solidified the gig. And then 2 weeks later, moved from Boston to LA.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah.
It was a whirlwind.
Yeah. Oh God, that was just such a great band, and just that must have been so satisfying and so fun.
It was. I joined the band though at the end of their 78 world tour, and everybody was just wrecked in a lot of ways. And I'm like, man, I'm this fresh new, come on, let's go. You know, I'm trying to be like Magic Johnson. You know, come on. You know, fill the posts. Come on, let's go. And I realized everybody was pretty burnt out. But then it was a kind of a slow growth. And we still are the only band that's not gotten back together, even to this day.
Oh.
Even, you know, as we well know, even the fucking Beatles did it. So indirectly.
So how long were you with them?
I was there from the beginning, well, from like May of 78 till we could say today. You know, we kind of broke up several times in the early 80s, and then got back together again, and then won the Grammy. And then a couple of us put it back together in 2000, 2001 with Earth, Wind and Fire. And then, you know, the world situation ended our tour, which was sad.
Yeah.
And so we're, you know, Hawk, who wrote Ain't Nobody, a very prolific writer, who basically discovered me with Bobby, and I are all still intact. And there's just two other members that are maybe a little, it's just very strange. And Shaka, I see her, and she's out there as we well see her. Don't know if she can sing like she used to. I would assume with the proper prodding, probably could, you know.
I actually saw her, Dan, was it, I'm talking to this guy who's on. Dan, did we see her? It was the Joni Mitchell live tribute. It was maybe 3 years ago, maybe.
That's right. And she was
singing good, yeah.
Well, I've seen, you know, she comes and sings with us on occasion with David Foster, and you know, and it's, you know, you guys, well, I guess it's like any of us, you know, if you're burnt out, it could possibly show its ugly head if you're too many gigs in a row, you know.
Also, I think especially for singing, it's really important to sing, to keep consistently singing, not just for the burnout of the throat, but actually the kind of mechanics, you know, of the whole thing, you know, the whole action of I'm singing and there's the music and I'm excited, and especially somebody like her, you know, who had so much power. God, you know, another person who comes to mind is Pauline Wilson.
Oh yeah.
She was like that too, you know.
It wasn't like that. That's right.
Probably Aretha, but you know, I didn't really see Aretha live. Did I see her at all live? I don't think
I didn't. I worked with her in the studio for a short bit, but you know, I always told Shaka, because you know, I played on, actually the guys in Rufus had a pact that none of us would ever play on any of her shit. And I go, well, I kind of go, fuck that. I'm going to play on everything I can play on. And so I played on Through the Fire.
Oh.
And I told Chaka, I said, be careful of the songs that are number one records, that you're going to have to sing them for the rest of your life. and as a singer, how are you going to hit that high note every night?
Yeah.
So it was kind of an inside joke jab.
Yeah. Who is of that quality now is, and has been for years, Lisa Fisher.
Oh God, yes, I know her. Yes.
Well, I've seen her several times at a Catalina's, once just like a month ago. She's incredible. She's like them, and I don't think there's many singers now who are like Chaka and Aretha were, but Lisa is. She has an unbelievable instrument range. She has humor. She's smart musically.
Yeah.
I mean, and the band is just a guitar trio.
Wow. Well, good. She's got her expenses already figured out. With the David Foster band that, I've been with him, golly, I've been playing with him since 81.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But live since 95. And, I'm very fortunate to, I'd worked with Barbara for 18 years. And to me, she may be the greatest singer, but, not really, doesn't have an R&B stitch in her.
Yeah.
Even though she tries, and that's nothing against her. But the two girls that sing with us now is Shalea McDonald, Shalea, and the other one is Pia Toscano. And Pia sings with Bocelli, and they're both every night hitting the notes and doing, and then they're younger, I would say, 30s kind of vibe. So
I want to write their names down. What are they?
It's Pia Toscano.
Yeah,
I can put you in touch with them.
Toscano and
Shalea Melody McDonald.
Wow. Talk about Cathy Segal-Garcia. Shalea. What is it?
Melody McDonald. She just got married.
Oh.
Her name, and she signed with Quincy's company.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to check them out.
Oh, you'll love them. Yeah.
That's cool. So when you were, and I do promise, Anthony, to get back to your question, but
yeah,
I just want to, we have some time, so I just want to kind of get some information that I'm curious about, which is, so you were playing with Rufus. Were you singularly playing with Rufus, or were you doing other things?
You mean when I moved to Los Angeles?
Yeah. Was it just Rufus, or?
Well, when did you move? And then I'll tell you my story.
I moved in 75. Well, 75, I went to San Francisco.
Okay.
For like 6 months, and then I moved to LA.
I didn't get out until 78, and I was going to go to New York because I figured, okay, I'm going to go to New York, and we're all going to fucking go.
Yeah.
So, Neil, everybody, Vinny, we're all going to New York.
Yeah.
And then I realized that, I'm at a different thing than those guys, and there's nothing in New York except for playing clubs. There's no studio work. So I'm glad that the LA thing. So I moved to LA.
Yeah.
And I did not get a session outside of Rufus. I'm in a band.
Yeah.
For 11 months.
Wow.
So I was still in my A basketball world in those days. And
wow.
I was juggling two careers basically.
Oh.
And I went down to a place in the Mid Valley called Balboa Park, which I'm sure you know well.
Yeah.
And I would hustle basketball on the weekdays. I found this little cool guy that was a lot of dope, but he was a good guard. And we paired up and we would go and play 2-on-2 and hustle. So I made money that way. and then finally I got another call from a great bass player named Joe Chimay, who was the singer on The Wall, or used to sing for Pink Floyd, a background singer, great bass player. He is now since in Nashville, but and then once, and then Quincy started getting more involved, and I went out to see a concert that the management set me up with and sat with Quincy. And Quincy loved Berklee people because he had gone to Berklee, which was then called Schillinger House.
Oh my God, that was a long time ago.
49, Arif Mardin, 50, Quincy Jones. And, Quincy did his thing, blah, blah, blah. But he loved cats in Berklee, and we had done a Rufus solo record, which I had brought Freddie Hubbard in on, actually, to do one tune. And Quincy was asked, well, you don't have to use this new guy, John Robinson. You can, use the studio guys. And because he was talking about producing a Rufus Chaka, he goes, no, I really like the way he plays. This is cool. So that's when we all kind of converged with Rod Temperton and Greg Fillinganes and Louis Johnson and Hawk and David Williams and Michael Boddicker and Larry Williams and Jerry Hay, the great Jerry Hay, and just all sorts of people were all converged together. And then that's when we cut off the wall. And it was like this huge magic thing came. It was, I can't describe what it was other than it was a place and time that'll always be remembered. And then from there, then the phone started ringing, and one, I'll ramble a little bit. One was Diana Ross called me, and I'm going, oh, okay, hello. And she goes, are you the drummer that played on Off the Wall record? Like real shy. And I go, yeah, that was me. Oh, I love that record. Can you play on my record? I go, I'd love to play on your record. So I went down with Abe Sr. on bass and working for the Lionel Camp at that time. And we cut Missing You, the Marvin Gaye song. And that was a #1 record. And the next day I had a 3-foot bouquet of flowers on my doorstep and said, with love, Diana, thank you. And of course, wife one was pissed.
I don't know why she'd be pissed, man.
I know, they're just fucking flowers. It should cheer your day up, man.
Yeah, from Diana Ross. Come on.
Diana Ross. Nice. Could have been the other Diana, but she wasn't even born yet. Anyway, so it just kept going like that. And I was choosing different patterns and, directions and,
Yeah. And so, and Quincy, you worked a lot with Quincy, right? Over the years.
Like we couldn't be, what do you call it? Unseparated. We were always together.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that must have been, just, we were talking about lifetimes before, because when John and I first got on, we were like, God, haven't seen each other for a long time. And back in college, they were definitely different lifetimes.
Wait a minute, who was in our band?
Well, Mike Pollara. But right? I forget who the bass player was.
Jack Dryden?
Yes.
From Detroit.
Yes.
And then there was a trumpet player from Washington.
Was there? I only remember the trio, but
maybe it was just a trio because I think I formed a band right off that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had been in touch with Mike Pollara.
Me too.
He is like head of jazz studies in New Orleans or some place.
I don't know. I know he's a composer, kind of a successful composer.
A bad cat, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow. Okay. All right. Anyway,
I'm in touch a little bit with my old band too. Like after that, with Mike Hatfield and stuff.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Mike Hatfield actually showed up on a jazz gig in San Francisco, and I didn't know who the heck it was.
Oh no.
And I looked at him, and he was just, I don't know if you remember, but he had a very forward personality type of guy, and he just stood there looking at me and grinning. And finally, all the little pieces in my head went click, click, click. And I was like, Mike? Right. Yeah. So,
right. Wow.
Yeah. Pretty trippy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. His brother was a really great pianist. And I actually interviewed him too. And he lives in Florida, and he and his wife write for soap operas.
Wow.
Yeah. It's interesting. So anyway, okay. So now I'm going to get to Anthony's question.
Okay.
I've satisfied my first round of questions. And let's see. So the first question, would you talk about where your focus is on music these days compared to yesteryears?
It's a very interesting question.
Yeah, it is.
And my goal is to do what I love. And I've always loved music, and I've always loved playing drums. I love playing piano, even though it's still a fucking bitch playing piano. Hardest instrument ever.
Yeah.
I compose, um, and I've been playing drums for 50 years, and I'm very, very, very blessed to. I mean, I've had some injuries. Last year was really messed up. I had broken my leg last year and had some
Wow.
vascular shit and a little bout of skin cancer and
Huh.
wrecked my nerves in my midsection from
Ah.
some other stuff. And I'm not answering that. And it's Eric Clapton. Hold on one second. No, I'm kidding.
Wow, you're really tied in,
I
man.
always make that joke. He's gonna call at the wrong time. But let's just say, like, all right, tonight is the 28th, right?
Yeah.
On HBO at 6 o'clock Pacific time
Yeah.
is the second movie I've ever scored.
Really?
And it's called the Bob Einstein Story, which is
Okay.
about Super Dave Osborne. And the great Danny Gold directed the film, and everybody's in this. It's basically a documentary comedy movie talking
Huh.
about Super Dave Osborne. A lot of people remember him. He was kind of a goofball, a slapstick, big, tall, gangly guy. His brother was Albert Brooks. So I'm plugging that because that's where directionally, that's my second film I've scored, and I had Danny splits it up. I did about half the music in this one. Tom Scott did the other stuff, and Nathan East did a little bit, and then my first film was If You're Not in the Obit, Then Eat Breakfast with Carl Reiner.
Oh, really? That sounds fun.
Really bizarre film. It's great. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
About these old people and keeping them rejuvenated and stuff. But it's really good about like learning about scoring.
Yeah.
Because at Berklee, I didn't have time to learn that shit. I was too busy learning jazz and other stuff. I mean, I took arranging, but I don't know if the right people were teaching it even in those days. But so now I'm learning that. I also have a new band called the J.R. Robinson Experience, which is basically a Rufus and Chaka Khan clone as far as personnel. And I didn't really mean it to do that, but I've started a nonprofit called handsfordrummers.org, which it's basically about us helping underprivileged musicians, young kids. Like now I'm helping a kid named Daniel Amaya, who is just sadly a quadriplegic, this Mexican kid, and he's like maybe 27 or 29, and he's in this little small container. It's just really bizarre, but he has a rocket ship built around him that he's a composer and a DJ, and he's into acid music, like because he's always being pumped and stimulated to keep him alive. But he's so good, and you guys can see that on my Facebook. His name is his stage name is Mr. Bones, and I got involved with him through my buddy Hawk, and so that's kind of what's going on now musically. To answer Anthony's question, the record industry is suffering, and it has been. There are no more budgets. The record companies got greedy. The writers, and I'm speaking more in a pop world, but the writers aren't writing great songs anymore. I'm sure there are some out there. In our day, we used to have budgets, and we'd get a phone call, and yeah, sure, what are you going to get? You double scale. We just assume you're getting double scale, and you come in and you're working with just Barry Mann and Cynthia Weil, and all of a sudden you just recorded Just Once, a #1 record, or We Are the World, or Change the World with Eric Clapton. Songs that are really well written, and today, it's kind of sad. So we try to count on the youth of the world to maybe step up and maybe break the rules. And and Cathy, I'm hoping that they believe in the logic of what we learned as songwriters and studying song form, instead of just piecing shit together and thinking that's a song, and it's not. And that's, it's almost like the good in music has been abandoned partially. And I mean, I could rant on and on about this.
This reminds me a little bit of what I used to think about a lot of singer-songwriters.
Yeah,
I would go to, what was that place on Highland? There was a little kind of club on Highland in Hollywood that was kind of famous down near Melrose. Anyway,
right.
and I would listen to these singer-songwriters, and I just couldn't take it. It was like two chords, that's it. And it's not that I don't mind two chord songs many times, because the melody is well written, or the story is there, or the singer's bringing it to life, or the band is, but these were like with their guitar, two chords, and they went on and on with the same thing over and over and over again, and they were all patting each other on the back, and it was, God, that used to drive me so crazy. I just couldn't believe, okay, that's a great place to start, but you get to learn too. You can
Right.
actually learn how to write music, expand, Ah,
That may be the level of the expanse.
yeah, well, yeah.
Of course, there was one song, I could probably get some shit from this, from Don McLean, called Bye Bye Miss American
Yeah.
Pie. It's the same fucking song for 9 minutes. And I go, oh man, where's the radio button? I got to change this shit. So apparently it had started in the older days. But,
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there were all levels, and I mean, something like that, God, and well, yeah, easy to remember, right?
yeah, I know. How do you get that out? Well, I
Yeah.
guess you could go tie a yellow ribbon. That'll get it out. Oh, then how do you get that out?
Ooh,
I know.
scary.
That'd be a good drunk game, I think.
Yeah. Well, that somebody was, pointing out what was the song when you were born, that
Ooh.
was pop famous. When I was born, I remember not because I remember the song, but I remember looking at, what was famous. Um, how much is that doggy in the window?
Oh,
That was a pop hit.
it was a #1 record, I think,
Yeah.
and somebody played on it.
Do you know my husband's birthday was yesterday? Yeah,
Happy
yesterday.
birthday.
And one of the songs that was in the pop hit was Nature Boy by Nat
Oh,
Cole.
it was a real song there.
I know. Incredible. And that was considered pop.
Yeah, that was strange to think
Yeah.
that way, actually, the way that song crossed. And I've cut that a couple of times with different artists.
Yeah. Great song.
It's an unbelievable song. And so,
Yeah.
there are those, and me and my house here, I've got like areas. By the way, this is bachelor pad central, because I've got my 20-year-old that lives with me and who's a musician and
Oh.
part-time in college. And but it's like I have sections where, okay, this is analog world. So I have all my records from when I was a kid, and I've got a really good system. So I'll go in there and I go, okay, man, I'm really thinking Frank. I'm gonna listen to some Frank. And I'm gonna put on maybe super sax. I want to play something that's gonna move me. And then all right, I'll put some rock and roll on. And then I'll go to another section of the house where, okay, it could be analog world, but it's also digital world. So it's kind of good. It keeps me, I guess, motivated.
Yeah. Well, there's, obviously, as we've heard many times, there's good music and bad music. You know what? I've been trying to go through my records also. My husband has a huge collection of records,
Oh,
but
nice.
mostly rock and blues. So I have my little section of everything, jazz and Chaka and, everybody. But the other day I was never a big Herbie Mann fan, but
Yeah, me neither.
but I took out Herbie Mann, Memphis, what was it called?
Yep.
Memphis Memphis.
Memphis Underground.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? That friggin' record was. The first song I was like, oh, is this going to be some kind of commercial shit from the '60s? Because it was done in the '60s.
Right.
It quickly became psychedelic, and the band was all great. I forget all the people on it, but it was psychedelic, and it took me right back.
Right.
It was the whole record, and they were doing like half of the side two was Chain of Fools
Oh my God.
in a
Wow.
psychedelic way.
I've got that record. I've got several of his records, and I was kind of like, yeah, I go,
Listen to it again.
okay, I'm not like, this is not floating my boat here,
Yeah, yeah.
I need to listen to something else, but
I know, because I've been trying to, listen and then get rid of the stuff, so it doesn't sit around.
just put on some Yusef Lateef
Yeah.
or Eric Dolphy. And there's a quick story. This is totally unrelated. Years ago, and I used to live in Old Agora, and I had a huge, big place there. We had a party, and it got out of hand, and there was just a lot of bad things going on. I'm thinking, I'm going to turn my fucking stereo up really loud, and I put on Mahavishnu 2. Not what's the second record, not Intermountain Flame, whatever the second record was, the good record. I turned it on, and I turned that fucker up really loud, and all of a sudden I look around the room, and I can see the women looking at the dudes going, let's go. And pretty soon I got rid of everybody in the house. So, in other words, what the fuck is this? It's like when a bad odor came into a room or something.
That's funny. Okay, so did we answer Anthony's question?
I don't know.
I don't know either. But how about he has another question?
Anthony, well, you're overachieving.
I know. What keeps your energy level up so high? Do you have any rituals that you practice that keep your mind and body in shape?
Body was a tough one from 2020, but I quit playing basketball like a smart guy because older guys.
Well, you're tall too, right?
I'm tall, and but yeah, getting over that year and healthier wise.
Yeah.
I'm always I don't practice drums every day, but I try to play drums every day in some capacity, or piano or something, or I'll mentally practice. And I can easily mentally prepare myself for a major gig or a clinic or a live concert just in my brain. I can go through it and lay things out, and probably not similarly to how like a Rodney would bring out a certain joke and just put it in a box and have it ready to go, or meld on that. So I do that. I like to cook. I like to garden. I have now back out on the road with David Foster and friends. So and he asked me, why do you like playing with me? And I go, well, first of all, you are, he's like the modern, Rachmaninoff meets Beethoven, in my opinion. That's the way he is, the way his brain thinks. And I enjoy playing good music.
Yeah.
So I kind of make it my own with him, and that's fun. And, I try to stay, I'm a major Kansas City Chiefs fan. I have been, because I'm right north of there, and I support the team. I know some of the players, and kind of involved with that. And now we're number one in the NFL again. So it keeps me balanced. I'm still raising a 20-and-a-half-year-old. I don't know when he's going to turn 21, because I'm tired of buying beer. I buy beer. Shit, we could drink at 18. Anyway, that's that. I've interestingly managed to now remain single over the last 10 years.
Wow.
Which is kind of interesting, but I think, that might change coming up. We'll see. And which then everything changes again. But,
yes, it does.
I do a lot of recording, and I do a lot of producing, and I'm always looking for younger, I'm not looking for 60-year-old talent, even though but it's always younger, to see if you can cross that line, maybe come up with a record that might change things. So it's all about just a well-rounded motivation.
Love that. I was I was thinking that I went to see Lee Ritenour at Catalina's, and Dave Grusin.
Oh my, Dave was playing.
Yeah, it was so cool. And then Lee's son on drums,
Yep, yep.
and the bass player I loved. He was from Lee's. Maybe it's also an organization that is what's the word that you have? Your nonprofit.
A nonprofit, a helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has some base nonprofit thing where he, gives guys scholarships or anyway, this bass player, I just absolutely loved him. Young guy, super positive, and he and the drummer probably around the same age, in their 30s maybe. I don't know. But anyway, it was fun to listen,
And Lee's still playing his ass off.
He still's playing his ass off. And Dave Grusin, of course, sounds great too.
Man, every time I've gotten to play with Dave, it's I don't know if it's through Quincy or there was some Capitol dates also that they would bring in. And he is the king.
Yeah, he really is a king.
And that chair, I can't think of, maybe a older Randy Kerber coming up.
Yeah,
could be in that level.
yeah.
But, and David is like that, but David's not in the sense where those Herbie things are just you can wire it in a matter of different ways, and it comes out. Well, Dave Grusin's the shit.
He really is. I have a friend who's a great jazz pianist, John Rangel.
Oh yeah, sure.
So he and his wife, Joan, they made a documentary about 4 years ago on Dave.
Oh my gosh.
It's a great documentary. You'd probably really like to watch it. Really good.
Lee, a little known thing about Lee, when I started doing sessions earlier, Rit One was a very famous record for us.
Oh.
But that was Harvey Mason was playing drums. And then all of a sudden I get a phone call. He goes, "You want to do a record?" I go, "Yeah." So we did Rit 2.
Oh.
And it was a song called "Is It You?" And it was a #1 record. But going back to the 70s, and I had nothing to do with this, but a band I did many records for, the Brothers Johnson, like Stomp and those, did a record called Strawberry Letter 23. And if you ever listen to that record, it has this breakdown in it where it's a triplet guitar figure, tripled. And it goes, well, that's Lee Ritenour. And Quincy made that call because nobody else could play it. And Lee came up with this unbelievable part. So all you guys that listen to that, and this is on this major pop funk record. There's
Interesting. Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I remember hearing. I was at this. Was it a memorial for? No, was it a memorial for Tommy Tedesco?
Oh yes.
GIT. Do you remember that?
I do.
Lee Ritenour was there, and there were these stories about, when Lee was first coming into the studio scene and how Tommy would fuck with him.
Tommy would fuck with him. That's right.
That's pretty funny.
And Larry also. I don't know if Tommy would fuck with Larry as much as Lee, because Lee is a little easier to fuck with.
Especially, as a youngster too,
Oh my God. And
we can imagine. Well, only imagine. Pretty funny. Let's see. What are you working? Anthony, I'm so glad that you're asking these questions. These are good. He wants to know if you're taking on students virtually, and how would one get in touch with you if that's true?
I will select possibly, yes. Teaching drums virtually, I've got a full-on, I took over my living room, and it sounds better than Capitol, in my opinion, here.
Wow.
But through COVID, we were all forced to get video, a video switcher, cameras. All of a sudden, we're not just drummers. Now we're videographers.
Mhm.
And, it's like I'm watching you and your show and you got to figure out all this shit. Well, I got to figure it out with 14 microphones. And if you're using Zoom on the receiving end, they have to learn what about the compression, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden you're watching the guy play, but you can't hear him. And then, so that takes up 15
Yeah.
minutes. So it's kind of a drag. I will teach that way. Sometimes it might be simpler just to do it on an iPad, which I can do. In the name of COVID, if people have been totally vaxxed and clean, they can get in touch with me and come here. I'm out in Thousand Oaks, California. But if you want to, I can give them an email. You want me to just give them an email address?
Sure. I'll write it down for him too.
All right. It's just real simple, jr73@mac.com.
There you go,
There
Anthony.
you go. And I've always taught. I've been teaching since I was 12. and sometimes it's fun, and all of a sudden sometimes it's like, okay, all right, because the things that I know that I know by the grace of God, basically, for example, time. How do you teach time?
Yeah.
I can explain it, and I can give you examples and exercises, but unless you're out there busting your ass with 10 different bass players, you're not going to grasp the concept of time, and you need to figure that out. Or you're working with a singer who turns around and looks at you and goes, and this wasn't you, by the way. She goes, just watch my ass. Just watch my ass. And I go, okay. And it wasn't like lustfully. I'm like, okay, I'm watching what you're doing. And I go, okay, how's that? That's great. How do you think that?
Now that I have a question, not about the ass. I understand that, but about working with different bass players. I remember one time when I had my long-term jam session, and I thought the bass player and the drummer were peas in a pod, and the bass player said to me, "Can you please get a different drummer?"
Ouch.
And I was so surprised because I didn't notice what was the problem.
Oh.
And so, but then I started understanding that the relationship of bass players and drummers was much more subtle than I knew about. So you mentioned, however, the number of bass players,
I just randomly picked 10.
Yeah. But so does that mean that there are different subtleties and shifts, and you actually find your own center in all of it? Is that what that means?
Center or security?
Yeah.
Maybe even security, because when even back in Boston, I remember playing with a whole bunch of different bass players, which, let's see if I can even remember them. Golly, what was his name? Looked like kind of like Lee Sklar today. He was from San Francisco somewhere. He was an upright player. And then younger guys like Jack, and there weren't a lot of electric players at Berklee. I don't remember playing with electric
Probably
players.
not at that time.
Oh, John Lockwood. I used to play with John Lockwood a lot.
Yeah.
And so he was kind of like the best bass player I had ever played with. And then, so, coming out and then joining Rufus, Bobby Watson, I goes, holy shit. Bobby Watson came out of Billy Preston and Nothing from Nothing, and We'll Go Around in Circles, and just this amazing. And Bobby Watson, then later I started playing with Willie Weeks. And Willie Weeks was, in the Doobies, but he was just a famous New York bass player, a country boy from North Carolina. And I got to play the David Lee Roth album with Willie, with Just a Gigolo and California Girls, and realized Willie Weeks plays a lot like Bobby Watson, but even maybe a little more solid. And then I started playing with Will Lee, and I started then playing with Nathan East. And of course I played with our buddy, Neil Steubenhouse. Yeah, there was your electric player. And Neil's time was impeccable. And then I started playing with Leland, and that was a different concept. And then Abe Senior and I played on a lot of #1 records together. and his concept was, flamingo based. It was a completely different vibe. And then, in the modern days of today, if I see some bass player that's like just too happy, well, I guess let's go back to Louis Johnson. Louis Johnson, quite possibly, if he could have read, God bless his soul, could have possibly been the greatest bass player of all time. He was so good.
Yeah.
He played with Jeff on I Keep Forgetting with Michael McDonald. You listen, I'm not on that track, unfortunately, but I'm on hundreds of others with him, and he was kind of crazy, and unfortunately departed. But I say to these drummers out there, if you can, play with different guys, see how, I've played with, Chuck Berghofer and God bless our Chuck, shit, what's his name? He was the king of upright.
Ray Brown or something, or
no, golly, I just had a brain. Paisano.
Oh, well, not John. Oh, I mean, you're talking Italian?
Yeah, Chuck, famous bass player. Used to play with Tom Scott, and I'll think of it in a second. But different styles, and then you start to learn where you sit, and how your style blends with that, and then you apply that to the song, and it either works or it doesn't.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of groove oriented too, right? I mean, and not that. I mean, the players that you mentioned, I would imagine have different.
Chuck DeMonico.
Chuck DeMonico. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I can imagine.
Or it's not groove oriented. I mean, I remember doing before we had our performance thing at Berklee, we didn't have a performance theater. I don't know where the hell we were. I did Tiger Okoshi's final senior recital.
Yeah.
And I was the drummer, and there were 3 pieces of music, and Lockwood was playing bass or upright, and the pieces of music were just sometimes Japanese artwork on a piece of open paper. And how do you, this is your part, and how do you play that? So it's like, okay, I'm looking for a quarter, and I'm going to scrape it on a music stand. And that's kind of what that was. So there was no groove there, but it was, the opposite of the groove. But you're probably right. It's mostly
related, especially to bass players. That's what I mean.
Yes.
Especially, because there's, the Brazilian guys, and then there's the straight ahead guys, and then there's the funk guys, and everybody's time might be absolutely great, but there's a juice, that each person brings to it.
Right.
But I mean, I guess that's just part of what, why we do it and what we love about playing with different people. It's like, oh, hi. Oh, yeah. Okay. Playing with them.
I was telling Jack, we last night, my son, we were starting, and he plays great bass, but he's a drummer and a piano player. But we were starting to watch the Beatles thing.
Oh, yeah.
I just started to watch it.
Yeah.
And I kept looking at him, and I'm going, these guys fucking suck. and I'm saying that, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack about that, but in reality, it started to come together, and that's where I stopped. And so I kind of know.
Yeah.
And I've had the good fortune of working with George twice, and I've worked with his son several times during the Elton John Rocket Man, and it's quite impressive, that lineage. But to watch these guys play together, Ringo looks just out of it in that first third. I don't know what's going on there, but I'm saying, I guess my point was, listen and try to pay attention and grow with the people that surround you.
Yeah.
And it could be the Beatles, or we're all very, I think, blessed that one band has been the biggest PR campaign of all time of any music. You tell me somebody different. I mean,
yeah, I think you're right.
Frank can't even hold a candle to them. Elvis couldn't even hold a candle to them. So, but I'm kind of watching it and going, okay. It's funny because every scene, all of a sudden, then they cut to a new scene and there's more shit in the room. It's like a monster. It's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, I remember, I had this one experience when I wasn't that young, but, I had been singing since I was very young, um, but, those certain experiences change your forward motion, and I was playing with this very well-known swing player, straight ahead swing player, whose name I can never quite remember, in LA, and we were doing a casual, and, well, it's kind of a jazz casual. So the first half was torture for me. Because I was trying to match him.
Oh,
But that wasn't me. I wasn't that kind of a singer. He did stride and all this kind of stuff. And so on the break, I was thinking miserably about what the fuck I was going to do. And then I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to do what I want, and I might as well do that now.
yeah,
Second half was magical because I was doing me,
yeah, yeah,
and boy, that was a huge lesson, it was great.
yeah,
So I think, like what you're talking about makes me think about that. You do you, and then everybody is doing them and doing it well. And then you're just meeting in the universe together, the magical musical universe, and making music.
hopefully that's the truth.
Have you had very bad experiences since
Not
you've
very bad.
really
I've
professional?
had some bad experiences, and I can tell them. I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm eventually going to do a book.
Oh, really? Cool.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I've got NDAs with Streisand, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to talk about it. So I don't care. But I did when I first came to town. I did a Stephen Still. I met Stephen Stills.
Yeah.
I met him at a party in Malibu, which just sounds so Hollywood, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
And it was. And we sat in together and started playing. And he goes, "Oh my God! Oh, what are you doing? You want to record?" I go, "Yeah, I'd love to record." So I went and recorded with Stephen Stills at some really fucked up studio in Hollywood that smelled like urine.
Oh.
Oh, I'm not going to mention the name of it.
Okay.
Actually, I could. No, I'll leave it for the book. And I get in there early. I'm super overachieving, and then there's these three Cuban percussionists, three on the date. Like one isn't enough. Three, and they're all speaking Spanish, and I don't know what the fuck they're saying. And I think they're talking about me. I don't know what they're saying. I had really long blonde hair. Who the fuck knows what they were thinking? And I got the sounds together, and it's like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
Oh, God.
About 11:45, Stephen and his girl walk in.
Oh.
And whatever song we attempted to record was just like a Cheech and Chong film, where everything spilled off the thing, and you're in the shag carpet, scraping stuff up, and I wasn't. And I'm just watching this night go to hell, and it's 5:30 in the morning, and the sun's up, and I going, I gotta get out, and I left. And I drove home, and I go, well, there's one bridge, I guess, that's gone. And that's one story. I have many stories, but
Wow. Okay, so what about one of the best experiences?
ooh. Musically, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Steve Winwood has always been special in my heart, and I've had very good luck working with people that write really great songs. And his songs are really obscure because he'll play like a 4-chord, but it's not even a pure 4-chord. It's almost Anglican church chords, and being from Northern England as he is. And when I was in New York, 86, doing a George Benson record with Tommy LaPuma, and they'd flown my drums out, and they never do that.
Yeah.
So Warner Brothers is very nice to me, because I was still signed to Warner Brothers, and so blah blah blah, and I'm done recording, and get back to my hotel room in New York, and I get a phone call, and it's Russ Titleman, And Russ goes, John, because Russ produced the Rufus Chaka live record, and which we won a Grammy for Ain't Nobody. And he goes, what are you doing right now? He goes, I'm not doing anything. He goes, well, I was going to take a shower, blah, blah. He goes, why don't you clean up and come over to our studio and I want to play us some music. So I go, okay. So I cab over, and it was a studio called Unique, owned by the Lord Alge family. I guess they leased it with Tom and Chris and Jeff and the mom. And it was a real skinny studio with 2 studios in it. I mean, I don't know how anyone could even get a sound in there. It's like an open sounding acoustic instrument. And they go, no, JR, you come in and sit here. And I sat right in front of the speakers. Bam. And they played the beginning of Higher Love. Not the me playing. The Steve birth of it.
Yeah.
And it was Steve playing Fairlight. It was like some Fairlight shots, a Fairlight synth sample, and a Jimmy Braylauer kind of mid-level groove thing. It wasn't really drum set oriented, and that was it. And there was no vocals. There was nothing. There was no Nile Rodgers.
No vocals. Oh, but the melody was being played?
Nothing. There was no melody.
Oh.
There was nothing.
Oh.
And it was just this track that came up.
Huh.
And it just blew me the fuck away. There was no Chaka Khan. There was no Memphis Horns. There was no Nile Rodgers. There was no me. And I'm like going, I raised my hand like a first grader. I go, can I play on that? Can I play on that? They go, why do you think you're here? And they go, when can you get your drums over? I go, okay, I got to record tomorrow. How about the next day? So I stayed in New York an extra week and then recorded 5 songs on that Steve Winwood record.
Wow.
He was so nice. And Russ was so nice. And the Lord Alge's, eventually Chris got, Tommy took over.
I don't know who Lord Alge's.
It's Chris Lord Alge and Tom Lord Alge. They're famous engineers.
Oh, I see.
Very famous. And kind of more modern, 80s, 90s, 2000s, instead of a Bruce Swedien or Al Schmidt type.
Okay. Yeah.
And I came in, and that was the first song I played on. And then I started, after I laid down the parts, which some were overdubbed, some were groove oriented with a kick, snare, and hi-hat. And then I turned the snares off and started messing around with this kind of a timbali part. And I'm just playing it, everybody wants to be a Latin drummer man, And so the talkback goes down and Steve goes, oh, JR, could you play that over what you played? I go, sure. Go, all right, we'll find a track. Boom, find a track. And I played this part. And if you listen to the beginning of Higher Love, there's, 18 seconds of me before Steve even comes in. And they ended up taking that from the end and bringing it up and digitally copying it. So when you listen to it, it's like a bar of 5/8 and 3 bars of 4/4.
Oh, interesting.
It's just really bizarre, but it became kind of a signature fill. So Steve Winwood is a good example. And obviously we go to Michael too, but there's a lot there.
Yeah. Oh my God. Holy moly.
I know.
Yeah, you just like.
And then we'll go to that Milwaukee, that polka band that I'm working on.
I like that. How was your experience with Peter Frampton?
Peter Frampton was great. I sadly wanted it to be larger than it was, instead of, middle-aged women throwing panties at old Peter. It was one of the greatest bands I was ever in, with John Regan playing bass and Bob Mayall playing keyboards. God bless Bob. And Bob was always there with Peter, and Bob also used to play with Hall & Oates and all sorts of like New York hip kind of groups. But it was a pure rock band, no in-ears. I had 3,000 watts of fucking triamp volume behind me. I could wear a tank top. It was just fantastic. It was, and if anybody hasn't heard that Frampton Comes Alive 2 record is just really magical.
Wow.
It's really, and it's one song that makes me cry every time I hear it. It's called You Can't Take That Away From Me. that version of that song is just really special. So
Is that the old, is that the standard?
no,
Oh, okay.
it's a Peter song.
Okay.
It's like a 12/8 thing.
Yeah.
It's massive. And, I ended up doing a couple of television shows with Peter also. I did 4 albums with Peter. Matter of fact, I remember Peter called me when I was in that old Agora house right after the Lakers won in 87. They won the world championship. I'm hired or happy and drunk and doing pirouettes. And I get a phone call and he goes, JL, it's Peter Frampton. And I go, fuck you, mother. Hey, man, click. Ring. No, JL, it's really Peter. I go, you're not pulling my leg. It's Peter. He goes, well, I was just celebrating. He goes, oh, what's basketball? Blah, blah. So we ended up getting together for a while. It was good.
That's funny. Okay, Anthony, good question, Anthony. Are there any artists that you haven't worked with that you look forward to playing with?
Oh, golly. I hope. Well, I never say that. I would love to play with Paul one time.
Paul McCartney?
Yeah, I don't know how many other Pauls there are, but yeah, Pope Paul. I don't think that'll work. Paul and God bless Abe Jr.
Yeah.
Who I've known since he was 15 and judged his drum talent show with the late Jeff Picaro. It was fun. I'm really proud of him and him growing up and going through our school.
Yeah.
And becoming really good at his craft. And so I would like to play with Paul, and I never got a chance to play with George. And I think that George and I would have really melded well. I think just with the personalities. Do I want to play with Adele? I don't know. I did Lady Gaga. I played with Lady Gaga a couple of year ago. I did a song called Stupid Love. So that's kind of out of my system. I've played with Tony. I have played with Frank, and I'm trying to think of modern. What's Uptown Funk? What's his name?
Oh yeah.
He's like the only one that's kind of carrying the old torch. So maybe we'll see what happens with that. So
yeah.
I'm always looking for the new greats, and I've always loved playing with Herbie, and I never got a chance to tour with Herbie though, and Eric. They're always studio based.
Yeah. I think we should listen a little. Can we? You can pick something for me. Let's see. You're here somewhere. Here. I'm going to have to watch that later because I love Jimmy Brantley.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's okay.
Here's
do you have the David Foster stuff? You're in my site, right?
I'm under your name, yeah, David Foster, but it would be the kind of stuff that I can't listen to possibly because the official stuff. But
really, you say they may stop you. Go back up to David Foster and Friends.
Where is that? Here?
No, that's The Hitman. There's one of them, but that's the first one. Let me see here.
Yeah, it's like official stuff. They're licensing. They don't.
So they'll screw with you with that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, screw it. Go back to me then.
Okay. John Robinson. So, and you obviously have made several records.
I have, and I don't ever listen to them. I'm working on. They were mostly kind of like calling cards for me.
Yeah. It's not you, the internet's first serial killer.
Jeez, I can't believe that. Oh, let's see. There's a Berklee performance. You could play that.
Okay.
This is with Neil, our illustrious friend. I don't know.
Neil Steubenhouse.
Marty Walsh, who I helped get the job at Berklee. He's been there for a while. And some other, who else?
Jetro Da Silva.
There it is. And this guy,
Dino.
Right. We all had gone back to Berklee a few years ago with our own specific bands and helped open up the the new dormitory, which you and I did not have. I mean, it's like beautifully art. Everybody's got a studio in their room, and I go, come on, man. We used to throw our couches out of our room.
Everybody has a studio. Oh, their own studio in their room.
Yes. Yeah. So this is a song I wrote with Michael Thompson called Crawfish Salad.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man.
Fun, huh?
Great solo.
Nothing but a jam, baby.
Oh man, that was great. Very good.
It was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
Wow. Memory.
Light the corners. Yeah. That's cool. I love that.
I know it's infectious and it's so simple, but yet it's like, okay, we're gonna lay down here.
Yeah. You know what I've felt as watching these few videos that we've watched of you, that there's this I don't know how to quite say it, but there's this kind of presence coming from you. It's like I don't know quite how to say it. It's kind of like this tight channel, that there's a lot of wonderful stuff happening in here, but there's this very real, place where it all lives. And it's good. It gives I like the feeling because it's strong and definite and fun. It's fun. It's still fun. It's kind of like, when you teach jazz, and somebody's like, has no clue. It's like there's a song.
Right. Right.
And then within the song, there's freedom, but there's a song, and
Right.
I get that. It's that kind of thing that I'm picking up. It's really nice.
Thank you. It's I'm just grateful that every day we wake up and we're on the north side of the dirt and
For
we
sure.
can kind of keep it going. Let's go just a little further and just every day go a little bit further and see where it takes us.
I agree with you. I personally, during this particular time, I really feel like there's a lot of growth that I'm going through,
Right.
and I definitely feel grateful. And but also there's, I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday, and we were just talking about what's coming. I knew she was going to ask me, do I have any New Year's resolutions?
Oh gosh.
I haven't thought about that in years, but but she asked it in a slightly different way. She just said, what do you see happening in the next year? Who the hell knows? But I do feel like right now is a particular time of mankind that where there's switching, a major switch over of awareness, you know,
Yeah.
and different ages and stuff, ages,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Right.
yeah, I think everything has moved along so exponentially, you know, just it like grows,
Right.
huger and huger. And I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, but still, I feel like what you just said, there's every day you wake up and there's something more that you can do, something more forward,
Right. I mean, we've been blessed. Right. I mean, we didn't ask to be birthed. And so what do you do with that? Do you be sourpuss and, hold people ransom with your bullshit? Or do you go forward and try to make the best of something to help somebody else? And
Yeah.
to me, that's the logical thing to do.
Did you say that you had a podcast or an interview thing?
I may have been ahead of the game here because now it seems, and I'm really happy for you, by the way. And it's good to have a smart, gorgeous female, and somebody who I know. But I 5 to 4 years ago, I started a podcast through this company in San Diego, and there was just no support. But I did it anyway, and I researched, and I have maybe 30 some out there. It's called Enter Talk Radio. And
Oh,
you can still find them. And I
wow.
interviewed Bruce Swedien and Al Schmidt and Tom Scott and Dean Parks and Neil Stubbenhaus and Hawk and Danny Seraphin and
Oh, cool.
Elliot Easton from the Cars and my good buddy from Deep Purple, Ian Pace, great drummer. Ian and I have always been friends. I interviewed him, and there's just a lot of really good shit. And but there was like, I'm doing 3 to 4 days work researching, and it's like, oh man, it's like eating my brain up a little bit. And it's hard to do a podcast. It really is, and I'm just really proud of you for doing it.
Oh, thank you. Well, podcast, the reason why I don't make this into the podcast is because it's a lot more work.
There you go. Okay.
And quite frankly, I don't do a lot of research. I know people will be shocked at that or not if they know me, but I actually like the more casual conversation. I mean, of course I have a bio, but and then I'm just interested. There's certain things that come up, and people like Anthony have, show up and have great questions.
Right.
But yeah, gosh, I was on Judy Carmichael is one of the best stride players on the planet.
Right.
She lives on the East Coast, and she had me on her podcast, and she's been doing a podcast that NPR runs for her, and it's like over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And she interviews all kinds of, she interviews actors and musicians, and yeah, and she's really adorable and, fun to talk with and all that stuff. So, but yeah, the podcast, I wouldn't mind the idea of having a podcast, but I don't know about you, but I have a 27-page list of things that I want to do and remember, so
exactly,
like a podcast, that's just like, it's okay. I'm just happy with, with this, but you're number 377.
Woo! Hey, those are good numbers.
Yeah, right. Run out and buy a lottery.
Good for you. All right. So now you can do an audiobook.
Well, I am planning on, although I just don't see how I can do it the time, but I am planning on going back and listening to each one and writing down my aha moments and actually making a few books out of that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, it's just super time consuming. But somebody told me that they actually speed up the video, which I don't know if that would work in this particular case. Probably a little bit.
It makes it sound a little bit more Munchkin-like, though, doesn't it?
Well, it's just for me listening.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I don't have to,
Oh, yeah, you could do that.
because each one might take 4 hours or something.
And and how many? I need an apprentice from Berkeley walking around here at $4 a day. Here and typing down all my shit, and I have so much information, but it's kind of hard to organize it.
Yeah, are you actually in the process of writing your book?
Not yet, not yet. I'm still in the process of becoming a solo artist again,
Oh,
and producing. But it's I want to do. I know other drummers that have done books, and I don't want it to be a drum book. I want
yeah.
mine. I want mine to sell to somebody else, or everybody else.
Yeah, John Novello came out with a book this year.
Did he?
Yeah. What was it called? I have to tell you the name of it. You remember John, right?
Sure, absolutely.
Because John, he was on here, 'cause he's an old friend of mine, actually from Berkeley, right?
Right.
He got his jazz chops in the Combat Zone.
Oh my God.
Isn't that funny?
I had a trio: John Basili and Duke Dorman was his name. He was a B3 player
Oh,
a long time ago.
well, yeah. He said when he showed up to and got the gig playing for the strippers, one stripper was pissed off because he didn't know any jazz tunes.
Oh my God.
And that was her show. So anyway, he learned quick. But his book is called The Invisible Architect.
Wow, nice title.
So yeah, because he had written contemporary keyboard techniques or something that was a really big seller. And then
Right.
he's been through a lot, and both his first wife and his second wife passed.
Oh,
And his second wife passed recently. Like they moved to Nashville a few years ago. No, a year ago, less than a year ago. Everything was fine. Her family was there, and she suddenly died.
oh,
So, and that was his second wife who died. So it's a little rough.
yes, yeah, yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. But anyway, so I actually have been finishing a book that I'd been working on for 15 years. And it's very small, but it's kind of a philosophy book. It's basically how a lesson in life can be the same lesson in singing jazz and the same lesson in voice technique.
Oh,
But of course, that's just my experience, but it's very, like if you read it, you would think about your own experiences, what parts
right.
of your life, are real. Yeah, so I actually think the book is going to be out self-published within the month.
Well, good for you. I mean, I kind of know, doing 2 solo records and working on a third one, what the expenses are on that. And to do it all yourself is hard to do. And
Yeah,
that's more power to you, and congratulations.
I just had to do that, yeah, I just had to finish that because it was an unended
Yes.
thing that just, kept sitting back there, and yeah, so it's pretty good. I've been fortunate to have a supporter who's actually listening now, Dan Davila, who's supported me the last, I don't know, Dan, let's see, probably 6 years or something. And he keeps supporting me, and we keep making records or, CDs.
Well, good. And obviously he's running the board here, or what you're doing now, or
No, I am.
look at you now, go lass.
Well, I figured out how to do it, and then, then it was relatively easy.
Well, we had done some, David Garfield, David.
Sure. Yeah.
We had done some things even during COVID at his house. It's really, everybody's masked up, but it's like try to get 7 cats all mic'd, including
Yeah.
a drum set, and then run it to the board and then get it live. is not an easy task. And then you got your internet delay and all this other shit, you know.
You know Billy Halting? Do you know him?
That sounds familiar.
He's a percussionist who's played with some people. You may have played with him. He has a studio in Burbank, and he actually has people come in and play. And you can see it. Let's see, it's called Billy Halting is his name. And
Yeah, shoot me that info.
yeah, I'll write.
Or email that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll write it. And anyway, I'm sure you'd know some people who have appeared, and yeah, it's really, and anyway, he does a great job. He's really worked on it, and yeah, very cool.
Yeah, well, it's really good to see you. Even though it's where are you at? Or do you divulge your city?
I'm in Granada Hills near Northridge.
Okay, yeah, you're just around the 118 from me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm kind of near Cal Lutheran University.
Yeah. I've been doing some gigs out. I have especially nice. I have a friend, a musician. Well, he is a musician, but he used to play for a living. Then he bought this technical company that was making material to protect engines from catching on fire.
Wow.
And he made a lot of money, and he added on to his house in Highland Park, and he has this great performance space. And so I do a bunch of things there, and I actually have, believe it or not, I have a like monthly gig and jam session.
Where?
In Playa Vista. And it's outdoors normally, except in the freezing cold weather, but it's outdoors, really beautiful. It's called the Conference Room, and have a trio, and people actually do come during this time and sit in.
What days do you do that?
Oh gosh, it's improvisational. The owner is, I don't like to inhibit him because he's so cool. And, if he gets a big party on the night that is supposed to be mine, I'm like, oh, fine.
Right.
I tried to stay on the first Saturday of the month, but that didn't really work. So,
well, maybe I could get down there. I mean,
oh, cool. I'll send you information.
I'm going back out on the road for a couple of weeks. I just did a month with David, and then including my own J.R. Robinson thing.
Is that what's doing now?
Yeah. Well, I started with my own thing first and did 2 shows, and then joined up at the band in Florida. So I literally just got back 3 days ago.
Oh, okay. So
Whirlwind.
How was it out there on the road?
I'm fortunate we're playing really nice theaters.
Yeah.
Like we'll be playing here in Thousand Oaks in January. So we go back out.
Can you tell us when and where?
Yeah. Here, I'll boot this up on a phone while we're doing this.
Okay.
Hold on.
That would be fun to come hear you.
It's such a beautiful venue out here. Matt Ross.
Which venue?
It's the Thousand Oaks Civic Arts Plaza.
Oh yeah, that's
Civic
really
Arts Center.
nice. Yeah.
But we're also in Palm Springs. Here we go. Where is it? Shit. That's not right. I should have this better. Okay, hold on. You sound like you're coughing up the thing.
I have a chronic 20-year cough.
I can't find it. I think we start out in, I don't know where it is.
Okay, if I looked, maybe I could
go to David Foster. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So we start out in Palm Desert on the 14th of January, in Mesa, Arizona. Then the 17th is Thousand Oaks. 18th, I think, this could be reversed, or is Modesto. 19th might be Thousand Oaks. Then Escondido, Las Vegas at the Encore. Then we're in Reno, and then we're home. And then that will continue there'll be some corporate dates in February, and I'm going to be trying to push my thing and do clubs. And then we'll be doing,
Is this tour that you're talking about, is it part David Foster and part you?
no,
It's
no,
the
these are
David
two
Foster thing.
David Foster tour.
Okay.
Those
Yeah.
will be, and then mine will be picking up. Probably not until Mayish, I would assume at this rate. And we're doing more stuff with David, and there should be a Canadian tour coming up. We have to do the Northeast again because with that, what happened when you're in some sort of touring scenario, and then COVID hit, everything got canceled. But the people that were in the order or the running are still there, and then you go back and rebook those gigs.
Yeah.
So we lost a lot of Midwest gigs, unfortunately, which I had some cousins, but we're going to go make up, the Count Basie Theater in Boston and New York also. So
cool. So did you say when we first came on that you're making a record with the new band? Is that what you said?
I'm actually, I'm working on, I just got I recorded both shows, and I've got video on one, which I haven't got yet. So I just literally pulled it up yesterday, and I'm seeing what's going to be good and what's not. And we're going to make sales snippets. Eventually, then that will happen. Yes. And then I'm working on a third record, which is like, I wrote some really out shit during COVID. I mean, some stuff that is so out that I don't know if I want to release it.
How out is it?
Like I don't think it'll, I think I would scare a kid eating Cheerios.
Well, that's not hard.
No.
But no, is it a mix of genres, or what is it?
Some can be a mix of genres. I mean, I can bring out, I wrote a ZZ kind of tune, but the lyrics are really suggestive. Then I wrote this song about this chick, which is incredibly angry and really funky though. So, and then there's all sorts of stuff in between. There's some lighter stuff where, there's vibes, and I'm playing, like more like watercolor type stuff. So some of that's out, but again, that stuff doesn't blend, but I may just not give a shit.
A question. What do you think is the either the near future or not the near, but of let's see, business. I'm talking about business side,
right?
I've talked to some people who aren't going to make full records anymore. They're just going to put out singles.
Most people I've talked to are doing that.
Yeah.
David didn't. David did a record of solo piano pieces he had just been writing over COVID, but he's David Foster, so that's a different thing. A lot of people are just putting out, including giant artists, are just putting out singles.
Yeah.
And I mean, it costs a lot. I mean, just if you have an engineer and instead of you mixing it yourself, you want to send it to a professional engineer to have him mix it. It could be a lot, of a small jazz budget or a small rock budget. Then it's not just that. Then you have to send it to a mastering engineer.
Yeah.
And then let him oh shit, well, you've got way too much 75 here. That's got to go away. And I go, well, I liked it. Well, nobody else will. So you got to pay for that shit. So it's having your ducks lined up and I mean, I'm dealing with, great companies that represent me. And, I'm now looking at a second microphone company for, different stuff, and just trying to nurture relationships that way without, being, taking advantage of people,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, did you know that my brother-in-law from my first husband is Joey Heredia?
Well, I know Joey very well, and I maybe I knew that, but
I figured you knew him really well.
I mean, I hope Joey's doing well, and I know that he's really close with one of my students, David Bronson.
Yeah.
And I hear news about that. Well, that's good. I mean, send Joey our best.
Okay, I will.
And, always a great inspiration when I used to go watch him play.
Yeah, great drummer. Well, I'll just tell people tomorrow is Nathan Breedlove, a really great trumpet player, very jazz committed guy with a long history, great player. He's from Seattle, Nathan Breedlove. So tomorrow I'm doing live like Monday through Wednesday.
Oh,
Then I
wow.
Yeah, then I do my archives Thursday through Sunday. So anybody, of course, can go on my website and see who, because I'm usually pretty up to date. And if you want to watch the whole J.R. Robinson interview hang, you can go to the archives, which also you can find a link on my website to that as well.
It's
So,
so much.
John, thank you so much. It's really been fun to hang out, man.
I know we should do it physically at one point, and
Yeah,
maybe I can come down and sit in,
yeah,
and it was just really great catching up with you, and we always had great times together. And
yeah.
thank you for thinking of me, and it's always great to support our cause. You know,
Thank you so much, man. And happy holiday, happy New Year, and happy birthday.
thank you, mate. Yep, I'm going to get my proper spanking. I think maybe Thursday. I don't know, but tonight, HBO,
HBO,
Bob Einstein Story, and
6 o'clock on Pacific time. I'm going to watch that.
it's so
Yeah, I'm going to write that
funny.
in my
So
book, and that
it's-
way I
it's
will.
enlightening. It's funny and shit, and we all need a little bit of humor in our lives, you know.
Absolutely. And I actually was a co-producer for a really great film scorer named Catherine Bostick,
Oh,
who's so good. And she's done a lot of documentaries, particularly like for Toni Morrison and Amy Tan and Rita Moreno,
wow.
and really good. And she's actually got a great record out too. And she's not young, so I don't know if you'd want to kind of
Ah,
facilitate her, but she's really good. Great pianist.
wait,
writer.
we're gonna have a dating show now. This is fucking great. We should do that. Yeah. What's a C7 chord? You gotta go. No. Anyway, Cathy, I love you so much.
Thanks, John. Love you too, man.
And keep in touch. Send me the links, and let's keep in touch through the new year.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Love
Bye-bye.
you. Bye
Love
bye.
you too. Bye, everybody. Well, that was too much fun. As long as I'm still on alone, I'll tell you who's on for the archives as well. So Thursday, Frank Griffith, great sax player. Friday is I think I got confused with my dates, but Friday is Roberta Gambarini, great Italian jazz singer. Saturday is Cinna. Yeah, Cinna. And a great singer who's actually coming here in January to perform. Cinna, great singer, composer, arranger, teacher. And then Sunday, actually, the first time I had Mon David on, the great Filipino jazz singer who lives here in LA and is a partner in mine of many musical crimes. So that was really fun. Boy, I feel all inspired after that visit. So have a great time, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you tomorrow. Nathan Breedlove is my guest. Bye.